the information that you could handle a situation.
Am I the only one that's on?
Here, Brian, how are you, sir? All right. All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Let me bring Brian is the only one of us with live video, so we'll bring him up here in a heartbeat. And Danny Shard, again, internet connection issues. We are figuring this out as we go, always trying to figure it out. I'll take that white box off of your face. Brian, this is the high five, live from Indianapolis, Indiana. Let me bring myself up here. I am here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Danny Shard will be hopefully joining us here in a moment. I'll be watching for him as he comes back in. And Brian, you are live here with all of our wonderful partners across. We're going to make sure that we have some audio. So Brian, I would like you to tell me, well, hold on, let me do this really quickly. And then here is our number one.
I'm going to put the best looking guy on the video.
Wow, that is absolutely what we did. Number one.
Yeah. No, I do the same thing. We need Shard. We just need the vocal. We just need the vocal.
All right, Brian. Hopefully he'll call in. I'm going to be texting him here. All right, Brian. We're here live with the first topic today. Is when I was 15, what did you think you were going to be doing?
Okay, so 15. I just talked to Danny. So 15, you're a freshman in high school, I believe, right?
Yep.
So when I was 15, there were two things I thought I was going to be. One, I thought I was going to be an Olympic swimmer because to this day, I can swim the butterfly. I think I could make the high school team here at Warsaw still at 57 years old. Although they used to have a 50-meter butterfly, and they don't have that anymore. So now it's 100, and 100 seems long. But so at 15, I thought I was going to be an Olympic butterfly swimmer. I also thought I was going to be an NFL tailback because what people may not know about me is I scored 5 touchdowns in a freshman football game in high school. 5. Okay? 5.
5 touchdowns in a freshman football game. Look at you. What position were you playing?
I played both ways back in the day. And what people may not know is I was the same size as I am today in the 6th grade. So my elementary, my junior high, freshman, sophomore year, it wasn't fair. It wasn't even fair. So yeah, we played like a wing back kind of a thing. And they actually played me on the defensive line a little bit because I was quicker than everybody. But then I played outside linebacker a little bit. But in today's day, I'm not sure if I see the field. But back then, like I told you, it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair. I used to win butterfly races. I used to get to the end, jump out of the pool, put my towel on, walk around, and people were still finishing.
There. All right, we got Danny's voice back. I don't see any video from you, Danny, but that's fine. Just stay on audio. We'll get you in there. We can hear you, and I know it's broadcasting because I can hear it to myself. We'll take that.
It's just not letting me turn on my video, but no worries.
Yeah, I allowed the panelists, and I'm not sure they're seeing me do that live on Zoom as we have as the world does, is around 300 million people downloaded different video apps around the world. I think it was over 100 million did Zoom, which has become the more popular one. I noticed today when I logged in today, they were giving me a warning that they weren't always going to allow us to send HD because they had so many more new users as they were ramping up. We're learning how to use it, but Danny, let's see. When you were 15, you were in Glenwood Springs, right? Glenwood Springs High School.
Wait a minute. We're done with me?
Oh, we'll get back to you. Okay. Okay. What
right.
do you have more to add at 15? What you got? You were also going to be king of England at 15. What were you going to do?
You remember that?
What I'm saying is like, I mean, I could go on for a long, long time because let me tell you something. Freshman year in high school, again, ridiculous, just ridiculous. So okay, I'm done. The show's only 30 minutes long, so we should let Danny talk for a little bit.
Thanks, Brian. I was actually telling Brian this whenever my internet just did what it does usually on right before the high five. So sorry about that. I went to 4 different high schools, and when I was 15, I was actually a sophomore in high school. So my mom, who is probably listening, my mom and dad started me a little early, probably quick to get me out of the house. So I was a sophomore in high school. I was going to school in Houston, Texas, at a big 5A school called Sci-Fair, and
We're learning how to use it.
I was all about golf, as I still am today. So I played basketball, played baseball, and I played golf. Those are my 3 big things. And I wanted to be a professional golfer, and surprisingly enough, that still hasn't changed. I still have that aspiration that one day I'm going to be a professional golfer. But that's actually changed a little bit, because one day my goal is to beat Matt Hoskins in golf, and I've tied him once, but he's always got me by a couple, and that's I'd say that's my biggest goal as an adult, to be a professional golfer, but more importantly to beat Matt Hoskins one time.
Well, I gave up that goal a long time ago on beating Matt Hoskins in golf. I was not much of a golfer in high school and have not become much of a golfer later in life. What's up?
He's ridiculously good. He's got a short game like you wouldn't believe, and not long off the tee, but just solid and consistent. And this is not a brown nosing. This is appreciation for this dude's game. And trust me, I don't like it. I've lost more money to him on the golf course than I like to admit.
I totally understand. And speaking of Hoskins, so when I was 15, Matt and I went to high school together. We would have been playing on our freshman and high school basketball team together. And I would have dreamed at 15. I thought I was going to be a high school math teacher and a basketball coach. That's what I thought. And I was just modeling what I thought was the most exciting things from parts of my life. That was Al Rhodes was the math teacher at Warsaw High School. And I was taking Algebra 2 from him, I think at the time. I took 2 years of math from him. And he was also the basketball coach. And I was playing basketball. And I would have thought that was the trajectory that I was going to go. And did that for quite a while. I thought I was going to be the next superstar coach. And I knew I wasn't going to be Mr. Basketball in the state of Indiana. I knew I wasn't the best player, but I knew I had a good mind for the game, and still think I've been pretty successful when I've coached. But that obviously changed later and pretty quickly. Other things became more important, got involved in drama and other things, and that changed. But that is a story. When you guys, like for both of you, when was the realization? Because some people know what they're going to do at 15 and some don't. And I didn't. I was, I think that came in, really not until my mid 20s when I started realizing who I was. I was a late bloomer in my understanding of who I was. For you guys, what was it that made you realize who you are and what you were made to be?
Is it my turn?
It is your turn, Linky. And by the way, don't listen to the audio. It's about 30 seconds behind. I could hear it in the background over there.
No,
I know you.
Sorry. Sorry.
It's all right.
All right. So, well, real quick before I answer that question, let me just say, if while we're on Hoskins, let me just tell you that the last time he and I played horse together, I beat him. Okay. So, so moving on. When did I realize? Okay, so coming into my junior year, now we didn't, sports wasn't a year-round thing back then. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. It wasn't even it wasn't close to what it is now. When I came back my junior year, and all of a sudden I was the same size as I am today, and everybody else was about 3 to 4 inches taller than me. And then my senior year, they were 6 to 7 inches taller than me. I kind of realized that the whole sports thing was probably going to be an intramural thing once I get into Florida State. So that's when I realized that going into my junior year, I realized that the whole sports thing was probably out the window. Although to this day, nobody can beat me in the butterfly, but that's a whole nother conversation.
All right. You know that my challenge still exists, that I believe my daughter could beat you in for sure a 50 and probably a 25, but
let's get some money on the table.
We need to find this pool that we can do this in sometime. I'm thinking this summer. We're not giving you much training time, though. Not that my daughter's getting training time right now either. Everything. So she.
Okay, but here's the okay. But let me just say
the butterfly. Okay.
But the one thing we have to start in the pool. No, we're not diving. Okay, we're starting in the pool.
All the rules, and she has to have 2 hands tied behind her back and can only butterfly kick.
No, we start well because I need to go dig my Speedo out to see if it still fits me.
This has absolutely just become the worst case scenario in the world for us. He just said he was getting his Speedo out. We're in trouble now.
I have a drawer full.
Save us.
All right, Danny, can you tell me, for you, golf has become, you are a really good golfer. You still are, you're competitive. It's a major part of your life. At what point did you realize that probably wasn't going to be the professional part, money making, though I'm pretty sure you've probably made money on golf, but the major amount that you have at golf?
Yeah, I still don't think I've accepted it, just because I am competitive. I've got a lot of buddies that are really good, and we play money games, and we play in a lot of tournaments throughout the spring and summer. So I don't think I've accepted it that this is not my calling. I still want it to be, but honestly, in 2003, whenever I got into the industry, and I'm a big skier in the wintertime, big golfer in the summertime, and I got a job at a merchant service company to get a ski pass. And actually in the springtime, they gave me a golf pass. So, you want to talk about a 19-year-old kid, an ideal situation, right? I was getting paid almost $15 an hour. I was getting free golf passes and ski passes. I was the king, right? It was never going to get any better than that. And that was probably my realization at that point that, okay, I'm going to find a career here and probably not move into the golf realm, but I still play a lot to this day and still hope to make a lot of money at it, but it's not a reality.
That's awesome. All right, we're going to go to number 2. There's a graphic playing in the background that we can't hear. Yeah, everyone else can. The audio is playing. It's telling us that we're ready for number 2. And number 2 is that we're talking about I'm going to read these. This is from Daily Tech News Show, a show I watch every day, and I know everybody's shocked that I watch a tech news show every day, or listen to. I don't watch it. They do a video version, but I wanted yesterday. Every day they're doing a roundup of what tech and everything that's going on in COVID-19 to help us fight. So I just want to read a couple of these, and then I have a question. So this is medical device maker Abbott received emergency use authorization for the US FDA for use of the existing ID Now lab in a box for COVID-19 testing. This use molecular testing is looking for viral RNA. We won't go into all that. The big thing here is the return positive results within 5 minutes or an all clear within 13 minutes. Abbott hopes to be able to deliver 50,000 tests per day by next week. Another big story, fuel cell maker Bloom Energy is delivering 170 certified repaired ventilators to Los Angeles that had been in storage since the mid-2000s did not work properly. The original manufacturer said it would be a month to fix them. Bloom believes it can refurbish close to 1,000 a week and is looking for more to repair. Then we look at like the German space agency, DLR, didn't know that's what it's called. They announced successfully testing and converting its aerospace-grade 3D printers to make medical equipment like ventilators and face masks. The work comes from the agency's Syntomos Technique engineering group, which used crowdsourced and open source templates for manufacturing. Then we look at the lab management company. Battelle received special emergency authorization from the US FDA to implement a system to decontaminate N95 respirator masks using concentrated hydrogen peroxide. These masks are now designed for single use, but the decontamination system allows them to be used up to 20 times. The process takes 2.5 hours, and Battelle currently has the capacity for 80,000 masks per day. The company is partnering with Columbus-based Ohio Health as its first healthcare system partner. My point on all of this is, wow, we are in a world where collaboration, innovation, getting rid of some of the maybe cumbersome regulation is changing how we're attacking problems, and is actually something that I think we needed to do. And intellectual property and the fear of losing out on the dollar, suddenly when life is in the balance, this is changing. Do you think when this is all done, will we just revert back to, hey, I can't let anyone know about this, or we can't let them do this fast enough? How is this going to change how we collaborate and how we innovate? Because I'm really excited. When I read stories like this just gets me jazzed up, because I love the human nature just to conquer things. What do you think? Yeah. What do you think, Danny?
I don't think we can go back. And we were just talking about how, we're all very competitive, and obviously that goes into the business world and the corporate world, and basically everything you're talking about, where now all these large companies are trying to create synergies with one another to help the overall economy in the world. And I think this is going to be a huge step forward for us, although it feels like we're taking some steps back, which we are, right? And I think that's probably needed. Try to basically make us a little less competitive, and get to actually resolving things and progressing. We're going to see some amazing things as we come out of this onto the other side, and the things that are being created are going to blow our minds. And I don't think we're ever going to go back to the way it was.
Brian, what do you think? I mean, you have a couple more years than us, just a couple. So you've seen a few more waves of this. Do you think that this is going to change business, and that people are going to be willing to innovate and collaborate faster than just trying to create it and get it all for themselves?
Are we back on the butterfly? Is that the question here? Because Nate, let me tell you something. That was impressive. Okay, what you just read in the whole thing, I'm like, okay. I'm glad you asked Danny to go first, because I'm not sure I would have had an answer. So can I ask for the question again? Am I allowed to do that?
You absolutely can. So the question is here: Is business, because business is collaborating more than ever. They're working, they're open sourcing things instead of patenting things and keeping it hidden from other people. Will that change how business works? Because the reason they do that is they can make more money doing it the IP and intellectual property way and putting a patent. But maybe that what they can do now is say, hey, maybe it's not so much making more money. All these companies are going to make money doing this, but we're going to change and innovate faster. And then even federal, like two of these stories where the FDA just getting off the backs of these companies saying, okay, we've got to do this, instead of, it would have taken 18 months, one of these stories, for this to happen in the past.
There's no way we're going back to the way it was. Okay. This is going to change the world, what we're going through right now, because none of us, even the old guy like me, has ever seen anything even remotely close. And Mark Beauchamp was on this call yesterday, and he was bringing up the gas shortage and things like that I've lived through. I'm a little bit younger than he is, but I remember it like it was yesterday. So no, I don't think we're going to see the way it was again. I think businesses now are starting to realize that we do have some really smart people in the world, and I think that I think once we conquer this thing, or at least get it under control, because again, I think the worst is yet to come. I hate to say that, and I think that the graphs that I've seen will show you that. We won't know that until I think Easter is actually the day I saw that's supposed to be the worst day of this thing yet. But again, I think moving forward, we're gonna be more innovative than we've ever have been. I think you're going to see some real heroes emerge from the in the science field and the medical field. And I think we're going to come out of this and be better, different for sure, but better than we were before.
I think that's absolutely true. I love I just like watching how we come together. And we'll have one other question here later where I'm seeing some really great innovations, and it's in all spaces. And sometimes we just have to know the good news. And I didn't even put it in because it's so viral. But did you guys watch that John Krasinski, the Good News show that he did the other day? Did you guys watch that?
I did not.
All right, you guys, we're gonna keep you. I need to. We're gonna get you guys in the viral nature. When 300 million people watch it, that does not include Brian Linke or Daddy Shard. All right, but I know you guys will have this next question and have an opinion. The best NBA team of all. One of my favorite podcasts is the basketball, the history of basketball 2.0 with Bill Simmons. I love that his book. I'm a big Bill Simmons fan, and I've been listening to. I'm way behind. I'm like 30 episodes behind, or, of all kinds of stuff on his. But he is always talking about what are the best teams of the NBA and the history of the NBA. I know both of you are going to have opinions on that. So I am going to go to Linky because that's going to be the longest answer in the history. Best team ever.
Well, so the best team ever has got to be the 2016 Golden State Warriors, right? I mean, you go 73-9.
73-9.
Yep.
73-9. To lose 9 games in an 82-game season, again, you have to base it on that. I think if I remember right, they started the season out 24 straight wins before they lost a game. I think they had 4 losses at the All-Star break. As far as like dominant best teams of all time, I don't think there's even a question that is the Golden State Warriors in 2016.
All right, Danny, what do you say?
Well, surprisingly enough, I'm going to have a little bit longer of an answer than Brian Linke, so bear with me. I grew up a huge Houston Rockets fan, still am, although I think everyone would agree that they don't win in 94 and 95 if Michael Jordan doesn't go play baseball. So, they had an amazing team, but I think Michael and Scotty and the Bulls go 8 in a row. Mine is definitely the Bulls of the 90s, specifically, and I'm probably going to get this wrong. I think it's 96 or 97, but they went 72 and 10? I think it was.
Yep.
It wasn't 73-9. I know that.
Not 73 and 9.
But you can't judge numbers on number. If we judged everyone on how their wins and losses, you have to then judge every other team in the league at the time and how the teams are built up.
No, the question is the best NBA team of all time is blank, and that was my answer because it's based on. Yeah, no, there's been some great teams. I think Jim Swanson, just the bad boys of 89 and 90. First of all, he's probably his vodka in his cereal because they're okay. And they're not. I don't even think they're in the top 10. But great. They're a good team. Don't get me wrong. They won championships, but they're not even in the Bulls league and the Celtics and the Lakers and certainly not the 73-9 Warriors. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's up for debate for sure. But I think that Bulls, that Bulls regime there for that whatever it was, that 8 years. I know that there was a few staples, but that 72 and 10 season, which is the year after Michael comes back from playing baseball, only loses 10 games, wins another first of the next 3 in a row. It's amazing, right? I think 96 Bulls all day.
It's so hard to judge this because it's hard. It's never apples to apples. I'm going to go even further back, and maybe it's just because it's this nostalgic of when I fell in love with the NBA was when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were going head to head, and I just think those two teams were so McHale and even Danny Ainge and then Parrish. Oh, Robert Parrish. And there's so unique how those teams were built compared to the '90s too, because then on the You had the Magic Johnson teams with just incredible players all around him. He started out with Kareem and then had AC Green and all those teams. I think one of those two teams could very likely have been one of the best teams because they were built. Now, they were built very similarly because you look around Michael, they were built around a really big guy. Like, I mean, his first teams, Michael had Bill Cartwright, then he had Luke Longley. He had the, a little less functional on that 72 and 10. He had gotten a bad boy, Jim Swanson. You can catch that. Gotten a bad boy and Rodman to make that team even stronger because you had that defensive push. You had Steve Kerr, the coach of the Warriors now, hitting from the three, though John Paxson in his first set. What amazing team players they had. But man, I was too young to watch the Julius Erving team that won it all. I was barely alive, but I was alive, but I don't remember it. But I remember watching Magic. Watching Magic go against Larry is what made me fall in love with basketball, and so that gives me that little bit of a push. But any of those are great answers, and it's such fun to debate because these are all really good teams. Brian, can you remember what's the best team you first saw in the NBA? What's your first memory of your favorite team, or not maybe favorite, just best team you remember seeing?
I think it was probably the 72 Knicks when they had Willis Reed and Walt Frazier, Dave DeBusschere, Bill Bradley. I think Earl Monroe was on that team. He may have been the next year, but Phil Jackson was on that team in 72. So that was probably just growing up in New York, seeing Willis Reed, limp out in Game 7. He played like 3 or 4 minutes, but the Knicks in 72, 73, I think was probably the best team back then that I can remember. Now, when Julius Erving played, people forget that he wasn't, Moses Malone was the best player on that team. And he didn't do the full 4-4, right? Win it in 4. So he was the best player on that Sixers team. And Julius Erving was an amazing player. But Moses Malone was I think they had Andrew Toney back then, Maurice Cheeks. So the Knicks and then the Sixers.
And Danny, for you, what was the best team that you first saw? Do you remember brought you on to NBA basketball?
Well, again, if you want to talk sports and want to go way back or now or whatever, you talk to Brian Linke. I mean, the guy knows everything about every era. I can't beat that. Honestly, I was, I'm going to show my age here. I was 10, 11, 12, whenever I went to my first basketball game somewhere in there, and it was the Rockets that year that Hakeem, Clyde Drexler, Robert Ory, Sam Cassell, Vernon Maxwell, these guys. I don't know who all went to the Florida State University out of that group, but I'm sure
Sammy Cassell.
Sammy Cassell. So that was my first real introduction into live basketball. Obviously, I'd watched it well before, but I was just a huge Michael Jordan fan, just like everybody else was, and that's how I grew up. I wasn't even 10 years old whenever he won his first championship. So.
Sam, I never met a shot I didn't like Cassell.
Okay, he would throw haymakers, heave it from wherever, but hey, sometimes they went in. He's pretty clutch.
All right,
fun player to watch.
All right, for the speed of time, it is time for number 4. It's time. This one's for number 4. Graphic City's Grave. Oh, I did number 4, y'all. Let's get all right, number 4 is going to be the restaurant world has been turned on their head. They are fighting, they are grasping for air, they're doing great things, they're doing innovative things. I love watching restaurants. Obviously, we do a lot of serving restaurants at Paprotech, helping with POS companies, work all over the United States, serving restaurants, helping them be more efficient and effective. And I hate watching them struggle, but I also love watching people when their backs are against the wall get scrappy, and restaurants for sure are. So what are some cool things that you've seen a restaurant do in this new era of takeout and delivery only restaurants?
I'll go first. The number one thing that I have seen is put together. These restaurants around here are putting together these family style takeout. And what that is basically is, for a family of four, they're offering, enough food for one price. So you don't have to go through and pick one thing and then another thing and another thing. And they're putting together the family style. Matter of fact, I was actually on the phone yesterday with a couple of my restaurants who are struggling and helping them put together a menu similar to the ones that are actually working. There's a restaurant here in Warsaw called Cerulean, and they can't keep enough of the meals in. You call them up today, you want to pick something up tonight, they're probably sold out. So I have a feeling once this thing is over, they've got a new way of doing business, because the food there is excellent, and they're putting together these packages. The first one we got the other night was this pulled pork thing with this plum sauce and this coleslaw with the buns and macaroni and cheese and potato salad. And when we got it, I looked at it and I was like, okay, this is not nearly enough for four people, but it was plenty of food. It was enough for leftovers. We also got the bottle of rum with the fruit punch thing, and so instead of spending $30, Brian Lincoln can't not spend $75, but whatever. But I think that's probably the number one thing is these family style dinners that they're offering. They're making it cost effective for just about everybody, and that would be my answer.
Danny, what do you got? What are you seeing some restaurants, even in Colorado or even other places that you're having contact with, seeing doing?
Brian, you nailed it, man. I mean, that's actually a really good one. The family style dinners, making it appealing for these people to still go out and get a meal, but it's affordable and they get a ton of food. Actually, my wife and I have done it several times. At a few different restaurants, and they're all doing these kind of family style things. They're changing their menu. I think obviously it's probably a little tougher for them to get product right now as well, so they're not offering full menus. At least a lot of them aren't. Just kind of offering the staples of their menus and then doing some of these family style things, which I think is great. The to-go alcohol is always a good thing. Actually, last night we got Mexican food to go, and had a margarita to go as well, which was really cool. Got to take that home, and I want to say what I think, not just what restaurants are doing, but what the communities around them are doing to help them get through this, I think has been amazing. And that's something all of our partners can do too. And if you're not, start it, right? Start something. Nate, you, Matt Hoskins, Keith Sampson, Brian, you guys are doing an amazing thing there in Warsaw with the gift card surge, right? And it's trying to, pick up your best restaurants there in the community, drive in donations, get them cash flow by purchasing gift cards, offering discounts at discounted or gift cards at discounted prices to the public. Just a really cool concept. And what's the number? Like 80% of these restaurants, or 70% or whatever that is are not customers of PayProtect necessarily, right? And this is not a ploy for us to get their business. It's doing the right thing and helping the community. And all of our partners can do that now. Will it earn you business down the road? Absolutely, right? I mean, you're going to be the gift card guy that was out, fighting from restaurants. If anything, it's going to get your name out. You're going to have a lot more contacts, I should say. But I think that's where I've been most impressed in my community and hearing of others. And if you haven't heard of that in your community, any sales partner out there that's listening, you haven't heard of anything like this, maybe you've got Facebook groups and things like that where people are, communicating about status of restaurants or whatnot. But if you haven't seen anything that's helping these restaurants get through it, some type of program like that, start it, right? Do it. And you'll be amazed at the kind of response you receive and just how many people are gonna get involved. It's been amazing to hear some of these stories. I think that's the coolest thing I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday I actually took the list of all my restaurant merchants here that are local, and I called every single one of them. And the majority of them did not have the takeout, the family style. A lot of them were Mexican restaurants, and they're just not savvy enough to put it together. So I stayed on the phone with them, and we put it all together. And then they were, how am I going to get this out there? Are we going to, I don't have a website. I can't spend the money on one right now. And basically what I told them was, I said, just get one of your girls to post it on Facebook. I'll share it with every single one of my contacts, who will then get to share it with every single one of theirs. And next thing you know, and they really appreciated the fact that I made that call.
That is so well done. And if you're looking for ideas, we're going to start posting them on the Paper Tech page of restaurants. So what we're seeing are creative ways that they're doing it across the U.S. And because there are two of them that I noticed this yesterday. I'm out hosting another show called Restaurant Heroes, where we're highlighting some of these stories. And one was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. This place was just doing a buy one, get one. And I've seen this several other places where they're doing a buy one hamburger. They'll give a hamburger to a hospital medical worker in Tulsa. And they had, in one evening, they sold 250 meals. So today they're delivering 250 meals to the medical. And how awesome is that? The other thing that I see is, restaurants don't have to live, and I've said this on my show last night, they don't have to, the experience that goes on in the restaurant doesn't have to only be inside those walls. So if you're doing trivia, I've seen a lot of these places, you don't have to, there are ways to do the trivia you do every Tuesday or Thursday night in your bar and be able to do that online. Or I've been seeing places do virtual wine tastings. Now that so many of these states have opened up that you can sell the wine, sell 8 or 10 bottles of wine, get everybody on and do a virtual wine tasting where you're talking about the wine, if that's something that is the ethos of who you are as a restaurant. Or if you're, figure out how to organize, you get an app together and figure out how to play online bridge or online poker or those things where you create the same tournaments that maybe you had in your bars and create that interaction virtually. And we all hope that we're going to be back inside the restaurant sooner rather than later, but that sooner is becoming longer. And so we have to start becoming innovators, and restaurants are doing some great things. And if you serve restaurants, if you do anything in the restaurant business, then just helping people come through these ideas. Brian, I love that, because some people are just, the fear of what's going on and the fear of just not being able to make it then makes us not be able to come up with new ideas that may be able to help us get over the hump. And maybe we can come alongside someone and say, hey, here's one idea, here's another idea, here's something else that somebody else is doing, and let's band together. And if you're looking for ideas, hit me up on Facebook or any other place, because I'm connected to probably 15 different groups. I'm just watching all these ideas, these restaurant operators working together and do all this work. So on that, we're going to get to our number 5 topic.
High five.
High five. We've got number 5, y'all.
Number 5.
5. All right. So it's the number 5 topic. And the number 5 topic is kind of related just a little bit to what we were just talking right then, is that in a business-to-business sales world, cold calling and connecting with new customers, merchants, whoever you're working with, has become a very different world for a lot of people. A lot of people are used to going in, shaking a hand, building that rapport, and helping build a network of people that you're connecting with. And cold calling is very different. And so a question I have for 2 of these sales professionals that I get a chance to hang out with every morning is, what would you do, or how are you doing cold calling now when you're just trying to build relationships in a world that is drastically different than it was now? I'll let one of you who decides to go first go.
Dan?
I'll jump in here. Yeah. So, I've actually been incredibly impressed at the partners that we have that have adjusted. A lot of you have adjusted or making cold calls or still signing up business. We've got a handful of cold call center type of offices, some small, some large. And I've been pretty impressed with how they've been able to maintain. I'd say what I've been more impressed with are those partners that, like the most of us, are face-to-face relationships and, shaking hands kind of people. And a lot of times it's referrals, or it's just, you're out and about having dinner with your spouse, or just going out and you're just always talking to people, right? And it's always face to face, and you might not have ever done anything like that. So if you're still unsure about how to even start the conversations, call me. I've got some scripts. I can help you kind of start the conversations and really kind of getting the foot in the door. And really, it's nothing that that you could see as being different than not walking into a door cold, right? That you're just walking in to introduce yourself. It's the same concept, and you've got to get their attention quickly before they realize you're another salesperson coming to sell them and get the heck out of here, right? So got to get their attention right out of the gates. And right now it's hitting on some of those pain points of now more than ever, more merchants are going to respond to eliminating processing fees, right? And you can almost think with this Edge program that you've got, kind of a pay as you go, right? You can turn off monthly fees. You can just have rates. If the merchants aren't processing, they're not really paying anything. There's no PCI fees. That can be really appealing to a merchant right now, especially as things are slow or if their doors happen to be closed while they're getting through this. The other thing is talking about lending options and even thinking outside of the box, like Nate, like you've talked about so often, is how can we help them, even if we're not getting the merchant accounts, on setting them up with a quick I think you said Squarespace, right, Nate?
Yep.
Squarespace account where you're not benefiting anything from that other than making a connection, right? But it's incredibly easy to sign up for that service and that restaurant to immediately start being able to take online orders, like within, I don't know how long it takes, Nate, but pretty quickly, right? Within a day.
Oh, I helped a restaurant the other day get set up and taking their first online order in 25 minutes. It wasn't a big menu, so that right. They were able to do it really quick.
And it's things like that although you're not getting the benefits of making a commission off that Squarespace sign up, but that merchant is now up and running in a half an hour or an hour and able to do online ordering where they never were able to before, right? They can jump on their Facebook page and they can say, hey, please still come in and see us, place your order online right now. And you'd be amazed at the calling that they're going to get and the amount of people that they're going to get placing the orders. And you can do that for them. And right then and there, you've earned a relationship, even though you're not getting commission right now. And you can do that over the phone. You can help them right away. So there's a lot of things that we can still be doing to close business. And, like some of these restaurants and businesses that we're seeing that are being selfless and kind of putting the community and putting others before them, that's kind of the sales approach that you can take. And I guarantee you it's going to help you close more business, even if it's over the phone and you're not able to show that pretty face like you usually do. But let me help, let Brian help, call us, Nate, all of us can help if you're not sure where to start.
All right, Brian, what would be your answer to some of the ways you're doing? Even I'm sure you're out there going call it God.
Okay, following Danny's chart on that answer, I mean, what am I supposed to say here? Because it was amazing. Okay, first of all, I think one of the things that we need to, back to the best things I've seen a restaurant do. I mean, it's amazing to me, like what happens to people in businesses when their backs are against the wall, right? I mean, like it's like at first, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, it's like, okay, everyone's going to go out of business, and what are we going to do? And panic was setting in, and all of a sudden, you start seeing the family style thing, and just a little bit more, some more creative things that these businesses are doing, these restaurants are doing. No one's laying down. You know what I mean? No one is laying down and just saying, okay, pulling the covers up over their head and saying, let me wake up when this thing is over. We fight, right? I mean, that's what we do. The cold call thing, again, the one thing that I think makes this entire thing unique, and again, at 57 years old, I've never seen anything like it, is that everyone in the world is in this thing together, right? So everybody knows what's going on. Which makes it, I think it's interesting, it's unique, it's something to where you can call any business, any restaurant, in anything, and they'll know, and again, we're sympathizing with them, they're sympathizing with you. I mean, you can just make the call, hey, you know what, I would just call on to see, how things were going with you. I'm going to let you know that, they kicked me out of my office. I'm down in my basement. They won't let me out. You can almost turn it into, and I do this a lot, where they've locked me in here, and you get people to start laughing, and you get them to start talking, and the next thing you know, you're listening more than you're talking, and it's a win. And again, the thing I think that makes what we're going through right now, the most unique thing is that everybody is in this together. It's not like, okay, well, PayProTech, we had this happen to us. So when I call my guy out in San Diego, he has no idea what I'm talking about, nor does he care. Okay. Now, when I call him, yeah, he knows because it's affecting him as well. And I think if you use that to your advantage, be sincere, lead with your heart. And I think good things are going to happen. Yeah, you know what? It's a different way of doing it. And I'm a face-to-face guy. I'm the best looking one on this call by far, and people like to see my face. But again, sometimes we have to be a little bit different and be a little bit more creative. And I just think that's something that we're starting to see, especially from our partners. I'm getting calls every single day, like, what do I do? And that's the answer that I give them.
I'm going to piggyback on that real quick, Nate. I'm going to disregard the last comment there about looks, because I think everybody looking knows I'm the best looking man without hair. Nate's the best looking man with hair. I mean, let's call it what it is, right? So,
okay.
But just to piggyback on what Brian's saying there, it's all about making a connection, and however you can do that. A lot of us are better at that in person than over the phone. And just like all these businesses, it's about adjusting, right? And there is no secret sauce that's going to help you get into these merchants and close a bunch of deals right now over the phone, right? It's doing what you already know, but more importantly, making a connection, being empathetic, and getting them kind of thinking a little bit about some other things, and then you're going to see some results from it. So I couldn't agree more. And Brian, you're one of the best at it. So you should be talking to a lot of partners about things like that.
Well, right, and again, you have to remember too, we're PayProTech, we're not the only ones, with salespeople that are struggling. I mean, a lot of these other companies are out there, and they're thinking the same exact things. Because again, what makes it unique is that we're all in this together. And a lot of these other companies that have guys and gals that go out and knock on doors, they're not doing that right now. So a lot of these restaurants, the owners are there. There's nobody in the restaurant. So they're not busy as far as, waiting on tables and things like that. So there's an opportunity for sure. And like Danny said, even from the cash advance standpoint, people need money. I mean, there's things to talk about.
I love it. There's some really good advice. The only thing I would add is come up with one conversation starter of value. So if you're going to be reaching out to restaurants, find out and learn something about online ordering, curbside pickup, something that's relevant. If you're going to be reaching out to those who are taxi services and are just throttled, come up. One of the things I saw one of our taxi services had repurposed themselves as a food delivery, and basically was cutting out some of the third party and saying, hey, you need delivery. I have 3 drivers, and we'll do the food delivery for you, and we'll just live off of a flat fee and some tips. And so helping just come up with something innovative that you can start that conversation and say, are you doing this? Do you know that the people are doing that? And my guess is that some of it's not going to be around what you sell, whether that is credit card processing or a point of sale system or whatever the other services you may be selling. It's providing value. And we always quote Gary Vaynerchuk. He's jab, 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 left hook, and that's give, then ask, and just give some value. Come up with something. If you're reaching out, whatever it is, law offices who are, they're struggling too because suddenly their billable hours are way down. And so if you can come up and say, hey, did you know that we can help you invoice? So, help them know and use a product that they're already doing, even if it's not your product. Right. And that just as Brian Linke says, be a real person, don't be a robot. So on behalf of that, I'm going to have one last closing word today from Mr. Brian Linke, Mr. Danny Shard, and then we'll close the high five.
I guess my parting words would be, don't pull the covers up over your head. Don't think that this is going away. we're all in this together. 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, with Danny, we were in Tallahassee, a month ago. We never ever, we weren't even talking about this then. I mean, we were at the Florida State basketball game, and I mean, it was, life was good, right? And all of a sudden, we get thrown a curveball. You have to stay in the box and hit it, right? You take your foot, you step out of the box, it's a strike, and you're going to strike out. So keep your foot in the box, keep your head down, and hit the ball, and figure out a way. And again, Danny and I, Nate, we're here. If you want to give us a call, we'll be happy to talk to you. But just get creative, be confident, and go sell something.
All right, Mr. Danny, last word.
Well said. Stay positive, everybody. It's not going away anytime soon. We pivot, we adjust, and we're all here to help you. I think all of you are not afraid to fail, or else you wouldn't be in sales, right? And that doesn't change right now. So just stay positive, keep smiling. We're going to get through this, and we're here to help you do it. So stay at it, and we'll do it together.
Yep.
All right. On behalf of Danny Shard, Brian Linke, I'm Nate Manahan, and this has been another High Five.
Ooh.